A number of years ago, I heard a statistic that said the number one reason why people are scared to join a community group is the fear of praying out loud. I've also heard it say that the sign of a healthy church is how much they pray. It's interesting as I talk to more and more people, realizing that that fear of praying out loud is a huge deal. Oftentimes we equate spiritual maturity to how eloquent somebody prays, and hopefully throughout the chapter reading, you have gained an understanding and an encouragement that it's not about eloquence. It's about communicating with God in order to align our hearts with Him. Again, it's about communicating with God to align our hearts with Him. And as we think about our fear, in the truth that the most significant sign of health for a church is how much they pray, we should be called to our knees in desperate prayer for God on a regular basis, because prayer signifies a desire to communicate with God and to align our hearts with His. Now, in that, I know so often, especially in this fear, comes to mind this, but I don't know what to say, but what if I mess up? But all this stuff we can lay aside, because this very encouraging verse that I hope you hold on to and hug tightly and keep it with you whenever that fear arises. And in Romans 8, Paul says this: the Spirit helps us in our weakness. Your thought of, I don't know what to say, and what if I sound like a fool, and I can't, this is weakness, right? You don't feel equipped, you don't feel ready, you don't feel like you know what to say. The Spirit helps us in our weakness. And then it addresses prayer specifically. For we do not know what to pray for as we ought. In other words, if you're thinking, I don't know what to pray for, I don't know how to say it, that's okay. It says it right here. You don't. Okay, well then should I say anything? Yes, there's still an encouragement to speak out loud, to pray your prayer. But he says this, but be encouraged, continue to be encouraged. But the Spirit Himself intercedes for us with groanings too deep for words. And He who searches hearts knows what is the mind of the Spirit, because the Spirit intercedes for the saints according to the will of God. All your fear of prayer, all your insecurities, take them and realize that the Spirit is praying on your behalf, both when you know what to say and in your weakness when you don't know what to say. That God's Spirit knows you better than you know you. And God's Spirit knows God better than you know God. And He's this interceder. He is this Spirit that knows what's going on beyond your understanding and intercedes and prays on your behalf. This has been an encouraging verse to me in times where I find myself either afraid to pray out loud or in those desperate times where I am just at a loss for words and don't know what to pray. In those times, I sit in silence and go, Spirit, speak on my behalf, because I don't even know what to pray. And in times of fear, I go, Spirit, I might not even know the words. They might not even sound great, but I know You're taking whatever jumbled mess that's coming out of my voice, and You know what I'm trying to say, and You're communicating to God the Father. With that encouragement, we also find in 1 Thessalonians these words, and we urge you, brothers and sisters, to encourage the faint-hearted, help the weak, be patient with them all. He's giving some directives in how to live. See that no one repays anyone evil for evil, but always seek to do good to one another and to everyone. Rejoice always. And then he says this line, pray without ceasing. Give thanks in all circumstances, for this is the will of God in Christ Jesus for you. Pray without ceasing. Oh man, what does that mean? I have to close my eyes and fold my hands every moment of my life? No, it's this continual interaction in the realization of God's presence is with you, And you can be relying on him because his Spirit is interceding on your behalf. And it's just a desire to be ever presently aware and communicating with God all the time. So as you go on that roller coaster, not only are you going to enjoy it because you're sitting next to your kid who's screaming and having a great time, but lingering in your head is this sense of thankfulness and a prayerful thankfulness because God gave engineers the mind to create such an amazing experience. As you're weeping because that person that you love so dearly died, not only are you brokenhearted because this is not how it should be, but you realize that God echoes that sentiment, and that's why he sent Jesus to die on the cross. As you go about your day, you realize your work is not just to fulfill a task, but it's to be aware of the people around you and show them the love of God and rely on his Spirit to work through you. Pray without ceasing. Pray out loud without fear because the Spirit intercedes on your behalf and God's Spirit is with you. How will you engage in prayer differently? And who will you help engage in prayer differently?